Welcome to Skechcraft, the podcast for art, design, and process junkies. I'm Rob Duenas, art director for Game Fan Magazine and Artist Esquire. This is an unedited podcast, which means there is some cursing from time to time, so please be aware. Thanks for listening, and here we go. All right, so episode 6, Sketch Rants. Rob D here. Okay, so I'm trying to get my energy up. It's a little pre-caffeinated. So let's move on here. So the last episode I talked about fan edits, and it was like from a film perspective. Go check out episode 5 for that, for the setup for that. And this one, fan edits concerning video games and fan games. So you play video games? Yeah, I do. You know, from time to time. Fantastic little community, fan games. So something's occurring in games that I used to talk a lot about to some of the cats that play, and now it's getting better and better. And what's happening is people want to learn how to make their own video games, and the internet and computing power has made it so people can. However, usually what they start off with is something that they know. So might be, you know, they'll take a Marvel versus Capcom, like a MAME rip or CPS2 rip, and then they'll redo their own sprites and put in their own character, like Green Lantern, Spawn, whatever, and import that in, and then that'll usually lead to them doing their own little mini edit or their own skin repacks, and what it sort of culminates into is someone saying, I'm going to go and remake an entire game or build off a franchise. And the one that I first caught my attention when it came out was Chrono Trigger. There was, at the time, Chrono Resurrection. I'll have links to this. So a guy was putting together an actual, I think it was Nathan Lazur, right? So he was actually coming out of high school or something like that, and he decided to remake Chrono Trigger in 3D, full 3D remake. And geez, if you guys, you can find the trailer for it and some playthrough on YouTube. I'll try to find those links and put them in. I remember seeing it, so I'll dig them up and put them in the show links. But it was really good, and it was so good to Square shut the fucker down. Like 2004, I remember. I think that's when they shut it down. And man, that was a real heartbreaker. I mean, I look at it to this day, and it's still better than half the shit Square's putting out. So that's moved things forward quite a bit into the next big thing that sort of caught my eye, and that actually occurred, I think, last year. Was it last year or the year before? 2009. So it was a year before. And that's Mother 3. If you guys aren't aware of what Mother 3 is and Earthbound 3, or Earthbound 2. So it's Mother 3 in Japan, it was going to be Earthbound 2 in the States. It's basically, Earthbound was supposed to get a sequel to the States on the 64 DD, and that never came out. And it's supposed to come here when it came out on the Game Boy Advance. And Nintendo just decided not to release Earthbound over here. I don't know why. We've all asked for it a million times. Nintendo won't do it. So fans actually went out and did a complete translation, where they just convert the whole thing into English. But very, very accurate, very, very high quality. They even put together, a group of them put together the Mother 3, where is it? The Mother 3 book. And what that is the Mother 3 handbook. I got a link, handbook.fangamer.com. So what it is, it's a 240 color page guide to Mother 3. Really, really well done, and far better than any of the Brady guides that come out. Fans are putting this together. I mean, this takes like what you see at GameFAQs, right, to a whole nother level. You can get a PDF for like $6 or buy the print order paperback for $20, or get a whole combo thing with the medallion for $30. I mean, this is pretty effing impressive. Why Nintendo doesn't just use this stuff, pay the cats, localize it? I don't know. I don't understand all this. I mean, other than I understand the legal issues that that become involved with this sort of thing. But I could care less. I mean, they even have like little clay, like the fans went out and made little clay representations of the characters, and that's freaking brilliant. I was telling Dave for the longest time at GameFam, I really want to put together a clay cover for one of the magazines, because I remember Nintendo Power way back in the 80s and 90s, when before they had CG capabilities, when they wanted to create a three-dimensional cover, they would use clay. I mean, the very first cover for Nintendo Power was a clay representation of Mario Bros. 2, and the clay cover for Mario 3 is probably still my favorite cover ever, next to the Maniac Mansion cover, which is pure genius. So yeah, they actually did all the characters in clay, and God, guys, look, if you're a fan of Earthbound, and I am, it was my second favorite RPG on the Super Nintendo. You stand to find this. The problem is, in order to play the game in English, you have to have an illegally downloaded ROM. And I would say to this, if you want to do it in a somewhat semi-quasi legal way, go to PlayAsia and purchase a Japanese copy of the ROM, so you actually physically own a Japanese copy. That may be expensive, but hey. And then download the ROM and apply the English patch. Because as a fan, something has to be done about this. This occurred recently in a couple weeks, something called Operation Rainfall, where a bunch of RPGs have come out on the Wii, and fans want those RPGs localized in the States. Like Last Story and Tales of something or other. There's a whole bunch of them. And go look up Operation Rainfall. And Nintendo has pretty much said no. I mean, some of them might get European releases, but nothing for North America. And the fans are like, well, why? Why is this? And it's basically because they're not spending any more major money at Nintendo of America on Wii resources. They're going to spend all their money on 3DS stuff and Wii U. The Wii is going to, aside from Skyward Sword and Dragon Quest X, it's dead. Just don't expect anything else major coming from the Wii. Everything's going to be pushed towards Wii U, because they have about less than 12 months to get that launch window open, so there's no way they're going to devote those resources. Will there be the possibility of fan translations for those games? Hard to say. Game Boy games are a whole lot easier to rip, recompile, and fix than Wii code. I mean, you'd have to... Well, that's something else entirely. So I don't know. I don't know if that stuff's possible. But moving right along, that Mother 3 translation is fantastic. And I just can't believe that sort of thing exists. And props to Nintendo for not... Either if they know about it and they're just not doing anything about it, then props to them. And if they do not know about it, I don't know. Again, these are shady areas. These are shady areas. And I was talking to Dave about this the other day. And he was like, can we even put that in the magazine? Or maybe Nintendo will have an issue with it. And I'm like, they run this stuff on Joystick. And they run these stories on Destructoid. And Nintendo and all them spend advertising dollars on those sites just because they're talking about it. We don't endorse. I'm not telling you to go steal the game, but I'm just reporting on what's out there. I mean, my personal opinion is that I think it's a fantastic resource, and it's not stealing money from Nintendo. Look, we would want these things, right? I'd be willing. I would buy Earthbound 2 the day it come out, but they don't see the money ratio, the profit margin ratios that they have to make. And their company doesn't. Companies aren't there to provide fan service. To an extent, they are, but they're not going to make a product just because they know they're going to maybe slightly break even or lose a little on it. But they want to keep their fans happy. They want to have a healthy profit margin because they have bills to pay and salaries to pay. That being said, there are various games that we would like to get a hold of and play. And what the future for that is, I don't know. I personally feel that in this respect, it could very well be that the future of this would be that there's a small little section that devotes their time to just translation, getting approval on translation, and then they have a digital-only release for this sort of stuff and print on demand. I mean, look at this. If these guys can put together their own handbooks and do print on demand, then why can't Nintendo and these companies say, okay, look, we're going to do a Kickstarter even, right? So Kickstarter is a site that people take and they donate money. So I can go say, I'm going to do this project. Here's what I'm going to do. Then you guys go and donate a bunch of money for me to do it, and then I go make the product. Well, I've seen some comic book publishing companies recently use Kickstarter as a way to sort of gauge interest in a project. I mean, how great would it be if Nintendo says, look, we have to raise $50,000 to make this happen. You know, if you guys want it, this will cover the cost. Boom. So here's the Kickstarter. And, you know, if we really, really want it, that might be the official way to go in the future. I think this sort of thing is going to change the entire industry sooner than later. It's not going to take 10 years for this stuff to catch on. Whether it can affect a major Japanese company that is sort of hell-bent on traditional methods of doing things, I don't know. But for the indie community, it's fantastic. Let me talk about a few other games you guys should look out for. So there's a Streets of Rage high definition version 5.0 remake. Streets of Rage HD remake version 5. Came out this year. Took like 10 years for these guys to make. So it's Streets of Rage. Everything's rebuilt from the scratch. All music re-scratched. Nothing's a trademark. Nothing's copywritten in terms of assets other than the name and the character designs and stuff. But they made everything from scratch. They even built in an editor. So you can make your own Streets of Rage games and play them cooperative with your friends. It's insane. I mean, it's everything as a brawler fan you could want from a brawler. Far better than anything Sega of America's put out in the longest freaking time, because Lord knows they haven't exactly been the purveyors of quality. And they had that shit shut down, like, I think in 24 hours. You can still find this stuff out there. I have mine downloaded. I don't care what they think on this aspect. I personally feel that I really wish this sort of thing would affect major companies like Sega, but they're not. I mean, they're just not going to affect them on that level. However, one thing it is doing is it is getting fans and developers and people alike together to actually produce a completed game. You know, when you come up with an idea on your own, let's say you want to come up with your own game idea, you know, anytime you do anything totally original, you don't know where it's going to end, what the final project is going to be. Sometimes projects define themselves, and in their definition or their defining, they reveal to you that they weren't worth starting in the first place. You know, for the best things, you know, reveal themselves to you, and the worst things as well. So anytime you work on a project, it sort of defines itself as you go along. And the worst thing in the world is to realize that you started on something that seemed great, you spent a lot of time on it, and then about a third of the way through, you realize it has no future, no potential. This is why things end up in pre-production for a long time. You'll hear about them developing a movie or a script or an idea, and you think, oh, that would be great. I would love to see that. And nothing ever materializes. And sometimes because even though it sounds great and you think it could work, the reality of the entire project as a whole just doesn't cut its own weight. So what fan edits at least let you do... Wow, did that make any sense? So what fan edits at least let you do is have a guidepost. You know a Streets of Rage game can work. To remake an entire game in high definition pixels, you know that game's going to work. You're not wasting your time. You're only trying to live up to the standard that the original project held. And its esteem, its pride, its value. The fact that Sega doesn't embrace this and use it as a competition, like design the best HD whatever now as a competition, is insane. I mean, I know there's some legal something or other, you know, well, if there's multiple people involved, yada yada. But honestly, I really wish a company, you know, like Valve or one of these companies would use the fan remake as a way to sort of build up competition or promotion of something. Now, granted, it would take a long time. I mean, to even announce a contest, you'd have to say, wow, there's going to be a 24-month. It'd have to be at least 12 months because you couldn't do a fan edit like in 30 days. Or a fan game in 30 days. I mean, fan edit you could. But a fan game, I mean, you'd need years. I mean, it took these guys 8 years to make this thing. So I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say if, from a legal standpoint. You know, that all being insane. All that being said, I just can't stand the legal thing, you know. There comes a point where you're like, look, is this really taking money away from our company? Sega doesn't see any money from the Streets of Rage HD remake, and, you know, it could dilute their brand, so to say. But it's not going to disappear. Once these guys make it, it's going to end up going out there one way or the other. What they can sort of do to prevent this from ever occurring is continue to make the bullshit games they have been making, because no one's going to fucking want to remake those. I mean, if you really want to make certain that you can end fan games or fan edits of your games, just continue to make mediocre products that nobody wants. And, I mean, on the upside, though, it is training a bunch of people how to make their own stuff. And I do personally believe that a good way to get your feet wet would be in something like this, right? To start somewhere. I mean, I started my professional art career by working on my own set of Star Wars, like, fan stuff, and then use that to sort of gauge, what a full project will take, what your limits are, what your capabilities are, and then move on to original stuff. Or work in a tribute mode. There's a game called Legend of Princess, and I'll put a link. Let me write that down. Legend of Princess. I just off the top of my head. Legend of Princess. And it's basically a demo game in sprites, 2D, to Zelda 2, the side-scrolling Zelda game. But takes those mechanics and completely ups it to the next level. It is freaking fun. I love a great sprite side-scroller. I love sprites. And The Legend of Princess is the best Zelda game I've never played or been able to play all the way through. The demo is just fantastic. And so that may be the way. I mean, you guys could say, look, instead of Streets of Rage, you could say Raging Streets. And you can be like, wow, this kind of is, it's inspired by, but it's not officially. So these are really the legal situations that exist. It's really about trademark names and brand recognition. So if you remove the brand recognitions in the exact designs, you sort of modify the designs to have the flavor, right, of the subject material, then you can move around that. You can say, look, we would love this to be Streets of Rage, but we don't want our project to be completely gone. Now that would omit or eliminate a remake, a complete remake, verbatim. But man, I mean, you got to pick and choose your battles, especially if you're going to spend on your time 8 years on something only to have it taken down, and you might see legal issues. I don't know. So very quickly, that brings me to the Minitroid demo. There's another demo that came out just this year called Minitroid, and it's a tech demo they spent forever on. That basically creates a Metroid experience using chibi pixels, and this shit is awesome. It's like, what if Cave Story and Metroid got together and had a little awesome baby? And dude, Minitroid is the best Metroid game not made. Man, it just comes back to after playing, like, I played Other M, and it's fun and it's cool, but sprites, why don't Nintendo and them just make a sprite-based game? Like, Minitroid should be on the 3DS. Minitroid. I mean, there's, one thing I say about the internet, especially in the last few years, is the communities have really embraced sprites, so much so, we've been developing a game, some friends of mine, I'm not going to say who, we've been developing a game, and with a real budget, and looking at different developers in the industry to do it. And we brought up the hand-drawn or sprite-based platform, and they all say it can't be done. It would cost too much, it costs too much, it costs too much. Except when you talk to the guys that actually make sprite games, they're like, dude, this would be so cheap. The industry as it exists now, as a whole, the older guys know nothing of sprites. They don't know anything about it. But the younger cats coming up, the 18, 20-year-olds, they've been making sprites and sprite-based games on the internet now for the last several years. They do understand it. And if you really want to see probably the best fully functional sprite-based game made in a long time, go play that Scott Pilgrim versus the World game on Xbox Live and whatnot. I mean, that game is fantastic. That's 8-bit on steroids. Second only, I mean, Castle Crashers was another thing, but that's Flash-based games, not sprite-based games, so it's a little bit different. But I love sprites, like Metal Slug-style sprites. And then that's the developers we're looking for, is those guys. Jamestown would be probably the next based, officially, like, it's a real game. Jamestown's a 4-player, top-down shmup on Steam. You guys should play. So Minitroid, that's a free demo, built in a using tools called Construct. Construct is a set of sort of drag-and-drop HTML5 game editor engine. Allows you to do a lot of sprite-based gaming with Construct. So if you guys are interested in making these kinds of games, go look up Construct. I'll have a link on the show links as well. And then lastly, this brings up probably the one last fan edit that actually turned into something pretty interesting. It's called The Silver Lining. Silver Lining was a fan edit for King's Quest. King's Quest was an RPG, a point-and-click adventure game that Sierra used to make in the 80s and 90s. So it's disappeared. And so some fans wanted to make a follow-up called The Silver Lining. And the Sierra Activision, when Activision bought Sierra, they went and shut these cats down or gave them a cease and desist. But after the fan hoopla, they decided to allow them to continue to produce the game. They just wanted the King's Quest name dropped. So you can actually play the Silver Lining for free. I think they're up to episode 3. The voice work is still amateurish, but pretty damn good for just a free fan community. And again, that to me says that's where the future is in games. Make something like something and sort of vaguely reference it. It doesn't have to be Ninja Turtles. It could be, mutant something or other, or war tortoises or something, It can be something like it and give you the feeling of it, but not quite. Not enough for them to do anything about infringing trademarks and copyrights, which is pretty much what they're more interested in than the pixels and the level designs and shit. So, anyways, that's my ranting about this enough. So where's the future? How does this involve me on any level, beyond just my opinion? Well, I have an idea for this stuff. And I've briefly touched on it before. Where I can't deal with it right now because of Comic-Con. But post-Comic-Con, you're going to see a regular contribution to the fan edit community from Rob D. It'll be a little section on this thing. So that's coming soon. Okay, guys, I'm going to be out of here. It's good. I'll talk to you. I got some other stuff coming up soon. I'm going to put up one more update on my commissions in GameFan, just so everyone knows where I stand, because I owe people commissions, and this week has not been commission-friendly for Rob. Appreciate y'all listening to me. You can send me an email at rob@sketchcraft.com. That's sketch. Yeah, the word Skechcraft, Craft.com, the name of the podcast, Sketchcraft.com, rob@sketchcraft.com. Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts on DA or whatever else. Love to read you guys' best comments and everything. I'm gonna do a whole comment sketch rant next weekend, just talking about some things people brought up. So appreciate everyone who chipped in, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.